No, of course I'm in it. I admire you. I think you're a fine actor and
You called me a well-known troublemaker.
Did you listen to the monitor? You heard that?
I heard that.
For 30 years, Johnny Carson ruled late night with charm and control. But hidden behind the laughter were nights that spun completely out of control. Some were hilarious, some were terrifying, and a few nearly ended careers on the spot. From a shocking animal stunt gone wrong to a betrayal that cut deeper than anyone knew, these moments pushed Carson to his breaking point. There are 16 on this list, and each one shows a side of Johnny you've never seen. Ready to be surprised? Number 16. The betrayal Johnny never forgave. For years, Joan Rivers wasn't just Johnny Carson's guest. She was his protégé. He coached her timing, shared notes no other comic ever saw, and treated her like family. When she guest-hosted The Tonight Show, Johnny beamed with pride. She was the daughter he never had. Then came October 1986. Without warning, Joan and her husband Edgar signed with Fox to launch a competing late-night show in the same time slot. Variety broke the story before Joan could explain. During rehearsal, Ed McMahon handed Johnny the paper. He read the headline, "Rivers Defects to Fox," and went pale. Johnny walked away from the set, breaking a pencil in two and lighting a rare cigarette. He never took Joan's calls, never accepted her gifts, and quietly ordered NBC to erase her from reruns and specials. To him, it was not business. His heart was broken. Fox's show had stumbled, Edgar's health collapsed, and tragedy was in tow. But Carson never forgave her. When he died in 2005, he would not even utter her name. Keep your eyes on the stage. The next guest made sure Johnny wasn't in charge. Number 15. The night Madonna took over. In 1987, Madonna turned The Tonight Show into chaos before Johnny Carson could even say hello. Dressed in a black bustier and lace gloves, she didn't take the guest chair like everyone else. She perched on Johnny's desk, forcing him to lean back as if dodging an ambush. Her first line, "Johnny, I chose you for my first because they say you're gentle." The audience erupted, while Johnny's ears burned crimson. Then she came in to claim the power. Madonna toyed with his cue cards, told him boxer shorts were fine, and licked her finger to tap his coffee cup with a whisper, "Too hot." Johnny chuckled nervously, casting about for help from the control booth. The producers were already fielding frantic calls from the censors. Every time Johnny tried to lead the conversation back to her tour, Madonna would interject, "Tour? Let's talk about your fantasy." The audience roared while Carson headed to a commercial as if a fire were behind him. NBC pleaded with him to rebook her. His reply was pure Carson. Once is memorable, twice is self-destruct. Number 14. The monkey incident. No one forgot. Johnny Carson valued control more than anything. Every joke, every entrance, every guest was supposed to flow with precision. That's why the moment with Joan Embery's harmless monkey Mo became one of the most unforgettable disasters in Tonight Show history. During rehearsal, Mo clung politely to Joan's arm, calm as a stuffed toy. Johnny felt confident, but live television has a cruel sense of humor. The instant the cameras rolled, Mo spotted Johnny's silver hair glinting under the lights. In a flash, he leapt, landing squarely on Johnny's head. The spectators howled, but as usual, Johnny froze. At that very moment, Mo's shriek was followed by a warm stream pouring down the collar of his shirt. Professional as he is, he quipped, "Folks, it is drizzling in here," even as his hands betrayed him. During that break, he did all that he could to do in terms of scrubbing his hair under an emergency shower, muttering something about dignity and professionalism. Later on, NBC had a sign placed, "Caution, Johnny's hair is no branch." Mo was quietly retired. Johnny laughed on air, but backstage, he made it clear that never again above shoulder height. Number 13. Elephant chaos stinks up the stage. Baby elephants look adorable on camera, wide eyes, floppy ears, pure charm. But Johnny Carson learned the hard way that they're also unpredictable. One night, handlers led a young elephant onto the Tonight Show stage. The crowd melted into oars as the little giant trotted under the hot lights. Then, everything went wrong. The studio lights scared the hell out of her. She froze, literally with her tail up, and in the next instant, let go of a torrent, hitting the stage floor with a splat loud enough to echo. Steam actually puffed in the spotlights. Johnny gagged, pinched his nose, and tried to joke, "Ed ordered takeout," but his voice cracked under the stink. Stagehands poured in with buckets, but slipped and spread the mess even farther on the floor. The once pristine flooring now looked like a bog. Carson dragged his chair 3 feet away and finished the segment using tight-frame shots to cover as much of the calamity as he could. Once backstage, he was incensed. From that day onward, plastic sheeting, hazard pay for the janitors, and a 2-year ban on elephant acts. Number 12. Potato chip prank gone too far. Myrtle Young seemed like the safest Tonight Show guest ever. A sweet grandmother from Fort Wayne, Indiana, she collected potato chips shaped like famous people. She proudly displayed her treasures: Abraham Lincoln, a seahorse, and even one that looked like a cartoon dog. Johnny loved it. The segment was light-hearted, quirky, exactly what late-night TV thrived on. Carson strikes with his mischief. At the point when Myrtle was turning to the audience, Johnny noticed a completely ordinary potato chip lying on the desk. At that precise instant, he popped it into his mouth. Myrtle spun back, gasping, her hand clenching her chest. "Mercy!" she wailed, convinced he had just eaten her infamous Lincoln chip. Roaring from the audience came the cheers until suddenly Myrtle's face became very pale and her knees buckled. It wasn't just a shot, it was medical distress. Johnny dropped the gag immediately and steadied her arm, mumbling apologies. During this short pause, paramedics rushed in while Carson begged her forgiveness. That night, he himself called her hotel 3 times to check on her. That landed wrong. Never scare sweet grandmas again, he would later admit to the staff. Number 11. Chevy's fatal mistake on live TV. In 1978, Chevy Chase walked onto the Tonight Show stage like he still owned Saturday Night Live. The problem, he'd left 2 years earlier, and fame had inflated his ego. Instead of settling into the guest chair, he slapped Johnny's desk and bellowed, "How you doing, America?" as though he were the host. From the start, Chevy steamrolled. He launched into a 3-minute monologue about his own greatness, mocked Johnny's tie, mugged for the cameras, and demanded more applause from the audience. Johnny tried steering him back to the film he was supposed to promote, but Chase wouldn't budge. So the unfortunate slip happened after that. Chevy stuck a good-sized hand on Johnny's shoulder. The studio froze. Johnny's voice dropped to ice. "Touch me again, and you'll be hosting alone." Nervous laughter rippled through the audience. It wasn't a joke. Backstage, Johnny gave his verdict. Book him anywhere but here. Chevy Chase was banned from that night on. Decades later, reporters asked why. Carson's response was simple. "I like guests who share the ball, not steal it." Number 10. Charles Grodin pushes Carson too far. Charles Grodin built a reputation on awkward, combative interviews, but his 1982 Tonight Show appearance went far beyond playful tension. He came to promote his book and immediately complained on air about Johnny Carson, mocking its $18.95 price tag. Instead of brushing it off, Grodin pressed, "That's my whole life you're dismissing." The audience laughed, thinking it was simply his usual deadpan act. But Johnny's face tightened as Grodin began mocking his voice, mimicking him as dull and robotic. Johnny tried to keep it light, but the jabs kept coming. Then came Grodin's Slayer line, thus ruining the mood. "You don't really care what I say, do you?" Johnny's eyes hardened. His reply was icy. "What do you care about, Charles? Do you care about anything?" And with that, the crowd fell silent in discomfort. What had begun as banter had now evolved into an outright argument. The segment ended with a forced handshake, but it continued to resonate within their very souls. It turned out to be only a couple of times in the future that Grodin was invited back again. Not once would he again enjoy the same liberty. Number 9. The debate that shook their bond. For decades, Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon were inseparable, the smooth host and the loyal sidekick. But one night in 1983, their easy chemistry cracked on live television over something as simple as sharks. Johnny made a joke about beach safety when Ed interrupted, correcting him. The shark never stopped swimming all its life. Carson tried to shrug it off, but Ed pushed, questioning Johnny's logic. Then came the sting. "My job for 30 years has been to make you look good, Johnny. Sometimes that means speaking up when you're about to make yourself look foolish." The audience seemed very uneasy, and Johnny seemed to scorn them. His pencil tapped an angry code on the desk. Finally, he announced, "We'll be right back," in a tone as flat as it was unaccommodating, and cut to some commercials. During the break, witnesses say an argument ensued, one of a more tense and furious nature than anything that one has ever observed between the two. Back on stage, after the commercial break, they acted professorial, but without the warmth. Their friendship was a bit gloomy in the following weeks, for even Carson's closest associate was able to touch a nerve. If you think this was crossing the line, the next one erases the line. Number 8. Wayne Newton's threat ends it all. Johnny Carson often teased Wayne Newton in his monologues, poking fun at the singer's polished image and Las Vegas reputation. At first, it was harmless, but behind the scenes, Newton was under real pressure, facing threats from organized crime figures and relying on shady protection. To him, Johnny's jokes weren't funny anymore. They were dangerous. In 1980, Newton stormed into NBC's Burbank studios, bypassed security, and marched straight to Carson's office. His voice thundered, "These jokes about me will stop, and they'll stop now, or I'll kick your rear end." Accounts differ on whether he made physical contact, but the threat was unmistakable. For Johnny, it was a line beyond which no guest could tread. He dined with stars, waded through the mayhem of animals, and survived some rounds with friends. Intimidation, though, was different. On that day, Newton was forever barred from The Tonight Show. Ever since, Carson never mentioned him on air, even once. The message was crystal clear. Jokes were to be expected, but threats put the final buzzer on the game. Number 7. Carson's trick that fooled the fraud. In 1973, Johnny Carson, himself a skilled amateur magician, decided he'd had enough of so-called psychics. Uri Geller, the Israeli spoonbender claiming supernatural powers, was booked on The Tonight Show. But this time, Johnny had a plan. With the help of skeptic James Randi, the show provided its own sealed envelopes, untouched props, and silverware. No trickery allowed. Geller was very confident when the camera rolled, Putting an envelope to his forehead and trying to bend spoons, he waited for something to happen, but nothing did. He stalled, killed something about negative energy, and blamed the studio environment. The audience squirmed and then began to laugh as Johnny chimed in perfectly, "We'll give you as much time as you need in the next life." Geller grew crimson, his act suddenly collapsing in full view. Carson went on to declare that he would never have the man on again. "We have exposed him as the fraud he is. I won't put him on again to deceive people." Ironically, Geller's notoriety grew on account of the exposure, but Carson remained firm that to him, magic was entertainment, not deception. Number 6. Bob Hope's Tonight Show script trap. Bob Hope was a comedy legend, but by the late 1970s, his Tonight Show appearances had turned into something Johnny Carson despised: infomercials. Hope's team delivered thick packets in advance, pre-written jokes, suggested questions, even sponsor plugs. For a host who thrived on improvisation, it felt like shackles. Johnny could have flown low under Hope's radar during the broadcasts. He was midway through cue cards that acted as setups for his scripted punchlines. The final straw came in the course of a 1978 appearance when Hope slipped in 3 sponsor mentions in just under 7 minutes. Carson remarked on air, "The sponsor's getting more time than I am," though backstage, he was seething. Carson bluntly told producers, "I won't do commercials disguised as interviews." The network pushed back, and Carson threatened to quit if they forced him to endure any more such appearances. So Hope quietly faded out. No announcement was ever made, but he just wasn't on the schedule anymore. Carson later put it this way: he wasn't doing television, he was reciting ads with canned laughter. Number 5. When Heston lectured, Carson snapped. Charlton Heston was a towering Hollywood star, but on The Tonight Show, he treated every question like a cue for a lecture. Johnny Carson would ask about filming Ben-Hur's chariot scenes, and instead of a quick story, Heston launched into sprawling tales of childhood ranching, Yale theater, and Greek tragedy before finally mentioning a broken rib 5 minutes later. During commercial breaks, Heston kept going, offering historical footnotes, quoting Plutarch, and urging Johnny to visit museums. Carson, who valued crisp, funny exchanges, felt the momentum die every time. During a publicity event for a movie, Heston had delivered a 15-minute soliloquy on freedom before saying anything about the film. He managed to lose his patience completely. After he saw the show, he told his bookers, "He runs his own program inside mine, and it's not entertaining." The decision was instantaneous. Heston was never to call again. To Johnny, Heston was a great artist, but late night needed rhythm and wit and not lectures. Number 4. Rickles' insults. Spark lifetime ban. Don Rickles was famous for his rapid-fire insults and chaotic energy, and Johnny Carson loved the sparks until they burned too hot. The trouble began in 1976, when Rickles guest-hosted The Tonight Show during Johnny's vacation. In the middle of a bit, he grabbed Carson's treasured walnut cigarette box, a sentimental gift from a stagehand, and accidentally smashed the lid. Johnny learned the next night about the damage on air. Furious yet funny, Johnny walked onto the set of Rickles' sitcom CPO Sharky with the cameras running and yelled, "You broke my box!" Instantly, crowd's reaction erupted with laughter. But it was one of those things that stuck with Johnny backstage. Other things came up. Rickles kept ignoring the timing lights. He broke the props. He pushed things the censors already turned down. He disparaged an overweight woman seated in front of him in 1985, which attracted a flood of complaint letters. That was enough for Johnny. He quietly banned him for life. Carson said it well. He's funny, but humorous doesn't matter if he's radioactive. Number 3. Fred Rogers' gentle style fell flat. Fred Rogers was beloved for his gentle warmth, but on The Tonight Show, his slow rhythm clashed with late-night television. From the moment he stepped on stage, it was clear. He paused mid-entrance, waved softly, and said in his quiet voice, "Thank you very much, friends. I'm very glad to be here." The audience kept clapping, unsure if he was finished. Johnny attempted to break the ice by lifting his polished loafer. "Fred, I wore sneakers in your honor." Rogers smiled gently and replied, "That's really nice, Johnny. Sneakers make us feel ready for fun." His pauses were long. Each sentence was delivered with painstakingly slow precision, just right for 10 in the morning, but at 11:45 deadly. The audience tuned out. His ratings dipped 3 points during the segment, sending panic through NBC. Behind the scenes, Johnny sighed. He is a saint, but saints don't work on late-night shows. The verdict was in. Fred Rogers would never again be softly booked. Number 2. When Farrah left, Carson speechless. Farrah Fawcett arrived on The Tonight Show in a sparkling silver jumpsuit, her hair a perfect shampoo commercial wave. But the moment she sat down, something was off. Her eyes darted nervously, her words tumbled out in fragments, and instead of talking about her new movie Saturn 3, she giggled and called it Saturday 3. Johnny attempted to steer her back, only to have her drift into haphazard stories of roller skating and surfing. She cast a glance at the band before saying dreamily, "The trumpets have pretty colors." The audience was lost in translation, unsure of comedy or chaos. Farrah leaned in and went, "Sometimes I dream I am a dolphin." Johnny arched an eyebrow and smirked. "And do you wake up wet?" The crowd erupted into nervous laughter, but the tap of Johnny's pencil echoed inescapably like a drum roll of frustration. During the intermission, he could only beg the producers to please reduce the segment. No, refused NBC ratings gold. Afterward, Carson slammed his dressing room door and instituted a Farrah protocol. No exhausted guests, mandatory rehearsals, and 0 pre-show energy boosts. We've saved the most unbelievable for last. Our top spot will shock you. Number 1. The night a panther attacked Carson. Johnny Carson's curiosity often pulled him closer to danger than he realized. One night, animal trainer Ron Shannon brought a panther for a Tonight Show segment. During the commercial break, Johnny wandered over for a peek. Shannon reassured him he's perfectly calm. But the look in the panther's golden eyes told another story. They weren't calm, they were calculating. Johnny trusted the expert and leaned in. The cat bunched its muscles and threw itself against the bars, its wide-open mouth shrieking as loud as it could and shaking the studio walls. Johnny didn't go backward. He threw himself across the floor, crashing down in a heap of tie and dignity. Gasps filled the studio. At just the right moment, he straightened his jacket and said, deadpan, "I just lost 9 lives." This sent the audience into an uproar, while Johnny's hands shook and betrayed him. They would replay it over and over on NBC, bringing in ratings. Johnny hated every moment of it. Thus was born the Carson rule. No animal should be within 3 feet of the desk. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this countdown of Carson's wildest moments, hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite. And don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories from television history. And don't go anywhere. The next video is right here on your screen. Click it now and keep watching.